Hey everybody, welcome back to Astrolada's channel. It is Sunday morning, just a little bit before 11 a.m., October 24th, 2021, here in the Pacific time zone. Gonna give people a chance to come into the room. Hey, I see a thumbs up, but I don't see a person. Oh, there we go. Hi, peeps. Here I go play with my hair. Hi, Mustard. Oh, look, I'm wearing mustard yellow. We're in the same with simpatico. Okay, good morning, small wildflowers. Good morning, Holly. Good morning, Crystalline and Lorraine. Okay, guys, so we're in the beginning of Scorpio season. And I have to say that this last week felt like it was giving me a little bit of a precursor of what's coming up. And I felt like patience with self was one of the things. I was taking a shower earlier this week and I had one of my coffees sitting on the ledge. And the next thing I know, the coffee was all over the walls, all over the rug, all over the shower curtain. And I just had to laugh. I had to laugh because if I didn't, I was going to cry. And I'm telling you this quick story because as Mars enters Scorpio this week, and we have a few other little, two other transits I think are important to talk about. Things may just be a little bit wonky, as we like to say. Let me welcome a few more people into the room. I wanted to say hi to Post It Up. Hi, Midnight. Hi, Bobo. Hi, Petra. Hi, T Husky. Hi, Reese, Elise. Oh, I like that, Reese and Elise. Priyana. I think that's how you say it. Okay. Katerina and Rico. Oh, Paris is in the house. I love Paris. Okay, so this week we have a couple of squares happening. And I was thinking as I was talking to Spirit about squares and them sort of being like these cornerstones of deeper truths, because we have Venus in Sagittarius squaring Neptune retrograde in Pisces this week. This is going to happen on the 26th. And I think all of this is sort of leading up to the idea of, Venus rules money. It rules our possessions, but it also rules relationships and our self-worth. And I feel like this square in these two mutable signs are asking us to look deeper into our self-worth in relation to our money, our relationships with others. Are we standing in an energy of hoping other people will change? Are we seeing the best of them, which is awesome to do, but are they living in that best energy in a percentage that speaks to long-term happiness? And when I say that, it's like some people are able to be happy 10% of the time, but 90% of the time they're in worry, or they're in lack, or they're in their story, which makes them guarded. Because, and I say this because as we move into the week, we're going to have the Sun square Saturn. And Saturn squaring the Sun is how kind of am I projecting myself, my identity out in the world? And is that Saturn representing past things, old ways of looking at my value in relationships, my value to myself? It's sort of like this, what am I pretending not to know situation. And this isn't about villainizing another situation or about making one person wrong and one person right, or one situation wrong and one situation right. Because I think that all of karma is really a series of choices that dig down deep into the Platonian levels of truth, which are sometimes scary questions because they call upon me as an individual and as a soul to dig deeper into my co-creation of the situation. So, and then we have Mars moving into Scorpio. It's, the ancient ruler of Scorpio on the 30th of the month is going to move into into Scorpio. And I feel like this is really kind of teeing us up for this end of the year as we get closer and closer to the square between Uranus and Saturn that's going to take place at the end of the year. Because as we're willing to ask ourselves the deeper questions, because we're always on some level participating in our circumstances. So I started off talking about how I dumped my coffee all over the bathroom, all over my brand new rug that I hadn't even had 24 hours, my old shower curtain, and as I was rushing to get ready for clients. So I took ownership of rushing. I took ownership of the moment of intuition. I knew when I was pulling that towel off the rack in a certain way that there was calamity about to happen. And so I didn't get crazy mad at myself. I just dealt with what had to take place to clean the situation up. And I feel like Venus in Sagittarius is asking you a little bit to dig deeper into your beliefs as it squares Neptune in Pisces, what you want to believe that may not quite be authentic to your happiness. It's not making somebody wrong. It's more about, is this really authentic towards my happiness? Because I think as we get towards the end of the week and we look at the sun squaring Saturn, we can say, well, you know what? There's a new chief in town. There's a new form of Saturn in town. Saturn wants to work for me now. Saturn is asking me not really if I'm happy, but if I'm willing to do the hard work. And if I'm willing to do the hard work of looking at where illusion, Neptune, has had me hoping for something that I honestly know isn't shifting. And instead of getting mad, because Mars in Scorpio in its lower energy may play to more challenging dynamics, a little bit more being in your face. And I guess I'm saying this because I don't think this is about being in somebody else's face. It's about being in your own face, but not in a way that's crawling up your grill. A few weeks ago, I told you guys about a disagreement, a disconnect with a fairly important person in my life. And my initial reaction was to feel sad about it. And then when I thought about it a little bit deeper, I felt a sense of relief about it. I felt like, oh, thank God I don't have to walk down that path again. I don't have to fight through that storm in this dynamic. So I want to offer this idea of starting to look at the squares in our lives as cornerstones of choice, and how that square actually builds a strong foundation when I dig a little deeper into the choices I'm making. Now, there's one other thing I'm going to say that's completely off topic, but it keeps banging around the back of my head. And that is in relation to the square between Saturn and Uranus coming up at the end of the year. Uranus rules air travel. And I know Mercury does, but on a higher level, it rules aviation. And I feel like there may be restrictions in aviation coming up. So if you're making plans for the holidays, don't put yourself on a tight schedule that you're going to stress out if you don't make it somewhere, either on the getting there or the getting home side of it. I feel like, some things, little surprises may come up, and you may end up being wherever you are longer than you expect to be. Bring extra underwear. Just prepare for the unexpected and for travel restrictions, delays, and surprises. We kind of saw a little bit of that when Southwestern canceled all those flights a few weeks ago. So that's what I'm saying. And one, my rug is not distressed. I decided, am I going to save the rug or am I going to save the shower curtain? I saved the rug, and I'm expecting a new shower curtain any day now. So the rug turned out pretty good. I like that, Rico. Thank you for taking that to the next place, because I really actually believe that there's these levels of connection that we're not seeing because we tend to look at things in categories as humans. We're trained to look at them in categories. So here we go. Let's look at things in layers and how we take this sort of this idea of, Venus rules the feminine, but the feminine rules the receptive, right? So as I'm willing to be more receptive in things, I don't have to work so hard. Things will come to me, including my money will come to me when I get into the idea of the solution. I was also thinking about this because Pluto, made an exact square to my sun on my birthday last week, which I it's been squaring my sun forever and a day, so I'm not really traumatized by it anymore. But it has really actually been something that's been transformational in a very positive way. And I started to look at the transits in my chart and the more challenging planets. And yes, sometimes initially they brought disruption, but then they brought a deeper truth that brought bounty and benefit. So as we go through this week and we see these squares, how can I redefine the structure of my life to more better support the reception of me receiving my bounty? And you know what, Holly? Take your coloring books. What a great idea. I love that. I've taken coloring books on planes before, and the time goes by super fast. Okay. All right. So I think that's it for this week. I really wanted to touch on those points. Okay. That's it. And let's go on to our readings. And as usual, I'm going to start with Pisces and work my way backwards. And thank you, Juan. He always does the timestamps. So if you get annoyed that I start with Pisces, you can always click on your timestamp and go straight to your personal planets. And I want to, again, I don't know, I haven't heard one other astrologer say this, so I'm completely rogue in it, but I am absolutely convinced that we want to look at our ascendant and our moon as partners, because our moon is our emotional body and our ascendant is our perception of our life and how we view the experiences that come across our path or that we co-create. So look at your moon. Look at because the moon goes around so quickly. It's just like our emotions. They up and they ebb and they flow. So check that out. And then I like to look at my sun, because my sun is how I'm projecting myself out into the world. And if you have a stellium, which is 4 planets, if you're being strict in one sign or house, I think that trumps almost everything, because that's indicating a very strong path within your life experience. So here we go. Gina Joan. Yes, you just got here in time for Pisces. So here we go. Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And one other thing that I want to just kind of, as I'm shuffling for Pisces, I want to mention about the squares that are coming up this week. When I think about the people who are truly successful, I mean, the billionaires, the people that amass great material wealth, they rarely focus on the problem only in a reference point way. They focus on solution. Where is the solution? How can I create a solution? How can I open things up? And I think this too is an opportunity. We see this Venus Neptune square in mutable signs. It may be that the square is on being too mutable to an energy that isn't really serving me. And so the solution is, how can I stand not in resistance to the old energy, but in more alignment to the truth of who I am. Megan, I think the nodes and Chiron have their own sort of hue. So if there are other planets, yes, I would include them. But the nodes, I'm studying with Brian Coulter, past lives. So the South Node represents the energies we're used to, what our soul has experienced numerous times. And the North Node is what we're stretching, the new energies we're stretching to incorporate and to live in the Earth experience. Chiron, for me, is the wound This is how Spirit has shown it. It's the wound my soul has agreed to work on in this lifetime. So I happen to have Chiron in Aquarius at 22 degrees, opposing my Uranus in Leo at 20 degrees. So I always think that somewhere in a past life, I was outside of the box in my thinking or in my behavior, and I must have paid some sort of price on a world stage because it's the 11th house. So now I think I'm here to not partner up as a Libra sun, but to learn diplomacy and compassion. So try to look at things as layers, as puzzle pieces that click together versus compartmentalizing them. Because I have 2 grand trines, and every time the moon goes around the zodiac, it triggers those points. Okay, and there's other things that could be going on. So, all right, here we go. Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Athena. The second is Francesca. The third is Bethany. And the final is Indriel. As I'm pulling these cards, I'm thinking to myself, Venus loves to be in Pisces. Now, Venus is in Sagittarius right now. I know that. But it's making that square to Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, in Pisces retrograde. What is it about myself that I dream about that I'm not allowing myself to move towards in some way? And if it's like I'm hanging my hat on a person and a person doesn't seem to be shifting, is that their fault or is that my fault for continuing to hold on too late or too long or to my own detriment? Because Pisces, Athena says it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. And this is absolutely towards love. There's the dog, unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity. And this is about all things that you love, not just intimate relationships. It's the sign of dreaming. It's the house of dreaming. Neptune is about fantasy. And not in its higher vibration. It's about film and about storytelling and a beauty, because Francesca says, what do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. And Merlin says there's alchemy, justice, and balance to be had. And part of that assertion in some ways may be to, Neptune rules the oceans, and the ocean is foggy, so you can't see it with your human eyes. You have to feel it, and you have to surrender to the motion of it so that it doesn't drown you. And I think that this is where we're going with this, is in love. Pisces, are you being authentic to the truth of what you really need and want in love? And are you in some ways focused on old experiences or the fear that you won't have it, which is putting too much energy on that? There would be those squares. And even that Saturn Sun square would be like, how can I now use Saturn to rewrite the structure of how I view this? Because Bethany says to take care of yourself in a deeper way, because knowledge, and I'm not even going to say healing, but knowledge of the self is where the alchemy will come from. In the final position, we have Indriel, the bee, and the bee. So this is what I want to say for Pisces. I think that this week, the square, especially between Venus and Neptune, because that's going to go on for I don't know, a couple of days at least. I don't know exactly how fast it is, but obviously Neptune's a slow moving planet. The Sun and Saturn is going to happen in a day, just boom. So, and then we go into the Mars and Scorpio, which is going to continue to ask you to dig deeper into a deeper truth of what you need in the way of intimacy, in the way of that connection that is beyond what people see in the outside. So Pisces, lovingly assert yourself to yourself and be loyal to yourself and dig deeper about the truth of what you want and what you require in the way of connection. Because Merlin says that as you focus in on that dynamic, not whether you think it's viable, you can see it, the person has displayed it, there is alchemy, justice, and balance coming. And this alchemy comes through pressure. And the pressure comes from your willingness to actually dig deeper. And maybe not make excuses for another person or make excuses for the situation, but rather to dig deeper in that maybe you're part of the challenge because your being energy is not aligned to the truth of what you really want to experience. And I don't mean this in a negative way. I mean this in a way sometimes that, when we as humans, when we are in disagreement or when we are in conflict, sometimes we tend to constantly point out the problem between two people or between a situation. And I really think that this is about not pointing out a problem, but maybe even saying something to the effect of, you remember that I love you, or you remember that we're in this together. I just feel like this is sort of taking a pause for a minute, really absorbing the Neptune waters going like this, and then allowing them to kind of calm down so the deeper truth of your heart can be expressed. And that deeper truth feels like it's about love, not about discord. So let's focus in on the love. And compassion is the highest vibration of love. So there we go. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Janine. Hi, Megan. Who else? Astro Ascension, good to see you. Thank you, everybody. It was a pretty quiet day, the birthday. Now a solid week into my 63rd solar return, but I only get to claim 62 of them so far. Astro Ascension, that would absolutely play to that dynamic, Neptune in the fifth. But also I believe that Neptune and music and the voice of angels is all intertwined, especially when you see these little toddlers who don't even, know the different genres. They're just responding to the vibration, and they're just it's beautiful to see. Hi, Ariel, good to see you. Welcome. Okay. Oh, this is exciting. I didn't know I was popping up on Facebook. Cool. Okay, so here we go. We are going to start. I go backwards, by the way. So I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. We're going to look first at your ascendant, then your moon, then your sun, and if you have a stellium. Aquarius, our first angel is Isaiah. The second is Rosetta. The third is Celeste. And the final is Teresa. So the first position, for those of you that are new to the show, represents the foundational position, the vibration which we're walking out on. The second represents the opportunity and or the obstacle. The third is the angel's advice for getting around the obstacle or taking advantage of the opportunity. And the final is the potential outcome of the week. So Isaiah is giving birth to the idea of trusting a bigger picture. It's also, the trust card is a 47, which reduces down to 11, which is the natural house of Aquarius. It's also a house of innovation. Okay, Rosetta is being joined by the dragon in the opportunity or the obstacle. Celeste is being joined by the high priestess. And Teresa is being joined by the burden card. Okay. So Aquarius, I want to offer it this way. There is with Isaiah saying it's a good idea to give birth to new ideas and new situations. And then there's the trust card. I feel like the thing I'm looking at right now naturally is the idea that Aquarius rules the 11th house of networks, of social media, of in many ways how you are seen in the big world out there of the internet, kind of like what we're doing here right now. And I want to offer this because oftentimes when we endeavor something new and we put ourselves out on such a huge platform, we project judgment, we project resistance, we project criticism. And I feel like This idea of trust is not about trusting other people. It's about trusting the idea of you being an innovative energy, Aquarius. You've got Saturn transiting your house right now. You've got Jupiter transiting your house right now. And that Saturn is heading towards that square in Taurus to Uranus. And Uranus is the the modern day ruler of Aquarius. So here's where I'm going with this, because I don't like to villainize any of these planets as much as when they're screaming in their lower energy, they're offering us opportunities to get clarity. Okay. We are on Aquarius right now because this trust comes from an idea of your innovative thought. Okay. The 47 reducing down to an 11. The 11 is the master number of thought. The 11th house is the master house of innovation, of exploring space and bigger concepts of science and the things that are unseen. Okay. That's super important to say as well. Microscopic things. Okay. And I say this because your power and strength comes from this willingness to almost adopt a childlike dynamic or attitude about what it is you want to endeavor. It's about allowing for the gestation period. This angel is watching over a pregnant woman as your thoughts take time to percolate and to gestate and to flesh out whatever this idea is, because there's going to be revelations of deeper and deeper truths coming to you from a deeper and more authentic place. And I believe that they will bring opportunities to you, but first through your thought process. Celeste represents a new home or a new place of employment, ushering in new energies, which may be true on some level, but you're going to think the way you think. And no matter where we put your physical body, you're going to start off with a platform of thought when you manifest. So this is moving Aquarius into a more trusting energy as they assert themselves. Because think about it. The Aquarius can feel awkward because you're not like anybody else. You're so innovative that you're not a herd animal. And those that are more into the pack will look at you like you're a weirdo or you're alien. And this is where the burden comes in, is because the final position ends with the burden card and then worrying about other people. So I want to offer it this way. As we walk through this week, and we know we have a Venus square to Neptune this week, which is kind of going to be, I think, the dominant energy before Mars moves into Scorpio. And it's really about how I value myself in relation to my dreams. Neptune rules dreams. It rules, film. It rules fantasy. It rules storytelling on some level. So, and desire. Thank you. I needed that. So I feel like Aquarius, this is an opportunity for you to sort of enjoy stepping outside the box and enjoy feeling a little bit different as your inner knowing is taking you into an innovative future that those of us that are just mere mortals walking on the planet can't quite see yet. And your job is really not to stay aligned to the herd, but to allow yourself that forward thought. So that's where I'm going with this. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I discovered this banana peel tea suddenly this week. Thank you, TikTok. It tastes like a Bananas Foster. Who knew that you could boil a banana for 10 minutes and it would taste like candy? The water. Oh, delicious. Okay. Juana's got my habits down. Here we go. Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Woo. Well, there we go. The patience card just flipped over. So we're going to take that. We have Merlina in the second, in the opportunity or the obstacle. We have Crystal in the angel's advice. And then we have Daniel, the angel of partnership, with history within partnership. All right. So the patience card is never about being patient, holding your breath. It's more about observation. It's more about being a student and watching the ebb and the flow of something, which is actually very Plutonian in some ways. We have joining the Patience card. We have the Movement card, joining Merlina. We have the High Priestess, joining Crystal. We have the Focus card. And joining Daniel, we have the Love card. Okay. So, I've been talking a lot about, William, advice to get over a hurdle for a true partnership. I think the hurdle is usually our willingness to be truthful with ourselves. And let's dig a little deeper into what truth is. Truth is kind of one of those things where, I almost want to go to the more negative aspects of myself, like when I get big and when I get a little assertive, my Aries rising. And when I do that, I come at it in relationship as if it is a problem. And oftentimes when we see something within ourselves that we think is a problem, we will use the energetic laws of attraction to bring in somebody who might think that very thing is a problem. So what I've learned is rather than focusing in on my hurdles, I'm trying to focus in on the energy that I want to receive in a relationship. So, because this is, I think, about relationships, because we have Daniel, which represents marriage, and we have the Love card in the final position for Capricorn. So let me go a little deeper. Venus rules relationships this week. It's squaring Neptune. Where are there illusions in your relationships, and where are those illusions not your problem, not your partner's problem, but maybe your own problem, because you keep looking at things in a way that are hoping for, if that person changes, I'd be happy. I don't know if that's how it works, because the movement comes for my Capricorns by not being so stoic that you are being in some ways like, well, I'm doing all the hard work, because the hard work is really about observing not the other person's behavior, but your own. And then saying, do I want to be an old goat or do I want to be a happy baby goat? Because I guarantee you, there's not a person on the planet that can't look at a baby goat and not feel happy or feel wanting to laugh and giggle. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle for Capricorn is Merlina saying your confusion lies in the fact that you need to dig deeper into the truth of your intuition of what you know underneath. So let me tell you a quick story. So Capricorn, years ago, I was dating a gentleman, which, he was very stiff, didn't like to have any fun, just wanted to make money, make money, make money. That's what he thought was fun. I don't think that's fun. So I turned 50. I'm well past that now. And I freaked out. And he's a handsome guy. He's a single guy. And I turned towards him and I started to push for a relationship. 3 years went by. I couldn't wrangle that relationship, but I acted and I mourned the relationship as if it was something I really, really wanted. After about 3 years, I looked at God and I said, what am I pretending not to know about this relationship? And the main thing God said back to me is, you are pretending you can't make your own money. And I was pushing towards that relationship for a sense of security. And I was willing to give up a lot. And I didn't even realize it until I took the time to really observe my own behavior and how many things I was willing to give up. Hugs and kisses and having fun and laughter. And so I wasn't even trusting my own instincts because I was afraid and didn't trust the future. Because Capricorn, this may be a little hard for you because you're attached to the old, you're attached to the traditional, and that sense of what is familiar. What is familiar is not always what is fruitful and what is good for you. So now the time is to focus in on the unknown in some ways, because what I do believe that Capricorn wants is to feel love in a 2.0 version of what has been before. But you're not going to feel that if you keep looking to the other person. You're going to have to look to yourself and say, how do I want to show up in the face of this old pattern? Because if I don't look at my own intuitive reaction to this old pattern, or my patterned reaction to the pattern, how will it ever shift? because I'm just perpetrating the pattern by looking at the other person and making them wrong, or looking at the situation and making them wrong. And I want to offer this because if indeed you can wrangle all this energy and observe yourself during this dynamic, then if for some reason you're called forth to make a big decision, because we know that as Saturn squares Uranus at the end of this year, old structures are going to give way to new structures, you'll be able to look at yourself and say, well, I know that I was aligned to balance in the situation. And then there comes a time, and this is why I believe we have reincarnation, because we don't always make the most highest vibrational choice. So we go under the veil again and again to offer ourselves those opportunities. So Capricorn, as Venus is squaring Neptune this week, and as your ruling planet will square the sun for about a day, how can you be willing to look at things not in a way of trying to attach to the old, but rather step into the vibration of the mutable square, okay? Because Venus is in Sag and Neptune is in Pisces, and then allow yourself just the ever so slight observational view of things to come by you putting yourself in that stoic Capricorn energy to work hard at paying attention to how you show up beyond the results. So that would be Saturn transformed to me. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittariuses. I'm loving this banana peel tea. I feel like it's like eating a sweet. It's supposed to be good for you when you go to sleep, help with restless leg syndrome. Just call me. See, I thought the lesson wasn't you didn't really have a relationship. I'm lost. Okay. Simone, I just Googled it, and it's literally like you use organic bananas so you don't have the pesticides of the old bananas. You scrub them clean, chop off the little ends, then I put it into 4 pieces, throw the whole thing in a pot, boil it for 10 minutes, and yum. And then I put a little maple syrup in it, and it's like liquid bananas Foster's. Okay, on to our Sagittarius' rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Sammer, welcome back. Hi, Betty Nugs. Good to see you. All right, here we go. Sagittarius. Our first angel is Bridget. The second is Estera. The third is Isabella. And the final is Fiona. You know, just call me C. I want to offer this too, because not everything is about a relationship. You're absolutely right. And oftentimes, if we do not feel like monetarily we are valuable or viable, we'll shut down love relationships until we feel like we've got our wallets clean. So Venus rules money as well. There's a lot of things about Venus that we really have to start to look at the ripple effect, because it could even be shutting down your own talents, you know, your skills, as a Venus rules the second house of voice and hand skills. So always try to kind of give yourself an opportunity to see, how does this fit in my lane for me? Okay, Sagittarius. Bridget is being joined by the Baird. Estera is being joined by the Dragon. Isabella is being joined by the Focus card, and Fiona is being joined by the Raven. The Baird, oftentimes when I see it, I talk about a history. I talk about the story. You know, the human tends to develop a history very, very quickly about, you know, who they are, what they've experienced, and the viability of their dreams coming true. And I feel like this here is a little bit of an opportunity to dig deeper into the story you've been telling yourself. Because oftentimes, without realizing it, it's almost as if we are daring the universe when we tell our bad story to prove us wrong. Prove me wrong. Because everybody else on the planet wants to prove us wrong. But I don't think it really works that way. I think that when we really, because oftentimes when we focus on the problem, it's really because we don't know what the solution is. And so it creates this sort of fritz in our brain because I can't go to the solution. I haven't experienced it, or I don't see the resources to make it happen. And so the problem becomes much easier to focus in on. Now, this is where I have to start to tell a new story, where I have to start to say, well, what if I don't tell a story at all? What if I just sit and look and wait for the universe to give me signs and omens of which direction to go? Because your power and strength, Sagittarius, actually lies in your willingness to hop and skip over your challenges and to go into a solution energy. And the solution energy may be that the resources that you need will show up, that you don't need to figure out the resources yourself. Because Astera says to reach for your dreams and not to compromise. And that's where your true power and strength lies. But if you look at the dragon, she's cool and calm and collected. We almost see this cool castle in the background, which I could say is Saturn in some respects, because Saturn rules cold things. So I've got to be really cool and be stoic in my nature and keep moving forward. This is my opportunity, because in the angel's advice, Sagittarius, yes, your desires will come to fruition, and your job is to focus in on how they feel when they are experienced, because it's been a matter of timing. Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And there's the raven. And the raven is about magic, coincidence, and synchronistic events. And I want to offer it this way for Sagittarius, because sometimes the human thinks, I can think it, I should be able to make it happen, I should manifest it right away. But we're working in concert with others. That's that whole co-creation thing. So I believe that what's been happening is that the timing for whatever you wanted to create has not been good, or you've gone through a process of creating on a platform that may have been focused in on something in the past. Well, I'll prove them wrong. Well, I'll prove my value here. And it isn't about proving your value to those people or to that dynamic as much as it's about allowing your heart to sing. So when you have this sort of mental clarity, then your manifestation is created on a much stronger platform. That's what I would want to say. So look deeper into your history, because your history may be working for you, and it is reminding you to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires, and to focus in on your value during the process of somewhat of disruption. Because whenever I see that raven sitting on a skull, I've gone into the underworld in some way or another to evoke something that I didn't see before. I think I've told you guys, I bought this big brown dumb ass Barcalounger years ago. Not that long ago, but you'll see it in some of the videos that I've done. It's in the background. And I literally hated it like 6 months after I got it, because I'm like, I don't like the brown. I don't like the Barcalounger. I don't like it. And I started to really, why'd you buy this? Why did you buy this? And I bought it for a person that never comes to my house, that never spends time here. But if for some reason they were to spend time here, I wanted to have a comfortable chair for them. Crazy town. When I realized that, I got me this loud yellow little French rolly chair, and I enjoy it much more. So this is about the digging in deeper. It's not digging into to make somebody else a villain in your life. It's digging deeper as to what are the roots of your manifestation and thought process. And then Sagittarius, allow yourself to go where no man has gone before, because Sagittarius rules those higher levels of thought. Who am I? What am I? What does this mean? And why am I walking through it? Okay, on to Scorpio. William, you come up with the neatest little pearls of wisdom. Okay, here we go. Sammer asked, what does Sagittarius in South Node? Oh, South Node Sagittarius. This could mean many things, but it would be that you're familiar with Sagittarian things. You've lived them in many lifetimes. You could be highly involved in education. Sammer, you could be involved in past lives in traveling, which who wasn't on a ship somewhere traveling from one land to another. They could have been a religious lifetime. I would really depend on where the ruler of where Jupiter is in your chart, because we'd be looking at the houses to see where the landscape was and what the aspects were. So, hey, Scott, good to see you in the room today. Hi, Karen. Okay, so let's go on to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh, oysters. I was just watching the Bradshaw bunch. And Terry Bradshaw was trying to feed his daughters oysters so that he could get grandchildren. I watch really stupid stuff. And then I listen to other stuff. Like I listened to Rick Levine for 3 hours yesterday talk about Uranus. And it was very interesting. And sometimes when I listen to these things, I'm kind of impressed with how much I already know. And I'm not saying I'm a know-it-all. I'm just saying sometimes it feels good to have that validation. All right, here we go. Scorpio, our first angel is Sonia. The second is Yvonne. The third is Teresa. And the final is Astera. So Sonia represents a deceased loved one coming through and saying, hi, how are you? What's up? I'm good. Hope you're good. But let's see what if this is your team, if this is a loved one, Scorpio. Let's see. It comes from your guides. The trust card is joining Sonia. Yvonne is being joined by the movement card. Teresa is being joined by the communications card. And Astera is being joined by the high priestess. You know, being Pluto ruled, and again, this is Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, I think can be, you know, on some level, it can be a little unsettling because the deeper truth that you see, that you know, is so far under what the average human sees with their eyes. And if you think about Scorpio rules the removal of toxic waste. And that in itself can be hard within the human experience because we're now in the house that rules other people's money, commingling of those material things, insurances and taxes, and the physical body's death, as well as, you know, sex and the occult. Because I feel like Scorpio, now is a time for you to really trust your connection to the other side and to start practicing that connection a little bit more. And when I say practice, I mean it like this. All right, Spirit, I got this feeling that you're trying to tell me this, and then you say it. If this is the case, then give me 2 more signs, 3 signs total. That this is what you're trying to tell me, and start to build this kind of language, because I think that there's a vulnerability to being to connecting with your guides. And I want to offer this for my Scorpios that have a stellium, because you're going to be so intuitive, but sometimes that intuition is going to be bringing forth such transformational messages that it may feel scary. Oh, I don't want to have to go through that whole metamorphosis from the caterpillar to the butterfly. You know, it's too hard. It's too hard. And yet, in the surrendering of that, it can happen very quickly. We're on to Scorpio now. Lenoka, I think. Because here we go. In the Angel's Advice is Teresa and the communications card. And I want to offer it this way because I think that you may be getting slightly nervous about the messages you're getting from the other side, the yearnings you're getting, the feelings you're getting. The veil feels very thin to me right now. I don't advertise myself as a medium, and I can't even tell you in this last year and a half how many dead people have come through during readings. And I just have to continue to surrender and be brave enough to let the information come out because the information is so powerful for the receiver of the information. So if indeed, Scorpio, your guides are nudging you to trust a deeper knowing that may feel disruptive to the outside world, to the people around you, to the herd animals, to the humans, there's a part of you that must allow and surrender to that deeper knowing. It's how you're hardwired. And in doing so, there's actually movement. And you'll feel a sense of worry actually feel lifted because you'll understand that the worry is putting you in a lane that is grabbing onto the fear-based humans hamster wheel. Because in the final position, again, we have the high priestess. If anything represents Pluto and Scorpio, it's the high priestess and Astera, saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and don't compromise. So this is what I want to offer it, sort of to round it up this way. Because the trusting of the messages that are coming through, I don't think they're about taking action on them right now. I know that Mars, the planet of action, is moving into Scorpio, but we want to go to these layers of Mars and Pluto representing deeper truths that we have to excavate. And the truths aren't always about somebody else. Sometimes they're about us. And sometimes they're about that we don't care. And it's not to be mean to the other person, but we just don't care. We like you, but we don't care enough to be mad or to be upset or to be sad or to be interrupted by it anymore, or to have things feel like they're dying anymore, because manure makes for a great garden. So, Scorpio, this is going to be a time, and a time when your energy is really needed, not just for yourself, but for all of us, because you are very, very much a leader. That little Pluto with that 600-mile ice heart is not about being cold-hearted, but sometimes it is going to appear that you're cold-hearted because the balancing or the healing cannot take place until somebody disengages from the pattern. Okay, on to Libra. Why do I want to sing between each sign? I don't know. Oh, thank you. I appreciate and love each and every one of you. You know, I was just looking at the very first video I did on Lotta's channel. What was the date of it? And it was December 18th. I'm coming up on my 3rd year anniversary here on Lotta's channel. And this means that Small Wildflowers has been around doing this for me with at least 2.5 years. And Juan has been doing it with me for probably at least 2 years. So I want to thank them for being loyal and so of such wonderful service to our tribe. So thank you, everybody. Oops. All right, Libra, who popped out? Oh, Sonia's coming out again. The veil is thinning. And then we have Teresa. And then we have Fiona and Azure. All right. So Libra, here we go. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. So I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast that Pluto is making a square to my sun in Libra. Has been, will be, you know, it's also making a square to my ascendant. And I started to really, you know, initially when Lotta brought this up to me, I don't know, it was a while ago now, I was a little scared. And then I went looking, what does this mean? And I'm actually feel really excited about it. So I'll tell you why in a second. Because again, I mentioned that these are cornerstones, right? So a square is a corner. And that cornerstone feels like the laws of attraction. Where am I putting my focus? What do I think about? What am I doing? Okay, Libra. Sonia is, I think, our team. Okay. I really, when I'm doing a large group and not an individual, I'm going to say this is not a deceased loved one of an individual, but your heavenly team, and each one of us has one. They vary in size depending upon our mission and what we want in life. And here's the spider. The spider is a relationship card for me. Anything that gets into this web is going to stay there. So I want to offer this because I believe that what Spirit is saying for Libra right now is that your network in many ways is growing, and it's not growing because you're making an effort to push yourself out there, but rather you're being led into a tribe and a network that feels a little bit more authentic to maybe previous chapters in your life, because now Libra is in your opportunity or your obstacle. This is a willingness to go in a new direction. It's a willingness to sort of say, oh, I think maybe I've outgrown some of the people that I knew at an earlier chapter in my life. And it doesn't matter whether I'm not judging them. I'm just looking for more alignment. When I was younger, it was all about what are the jeans you're wearing and how cute is your face and do the boys like you? Well, I'm older now and I don't care about any of that crap. I want to talk to people about spirituality and astrology and about, bigger concepts of life. And so my tribe has changed. Libra, there's an opportunity because in the angel's advice, God, here's Fiona saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving that help. And here's Merlin, alchemy, justice, and balance. And I say that because I think there's the possibility that some of our Libras would like to actually be in a relationship, but not just a relationship, in a relationship with those that are in alignment. Because there's the love card. And as you're saying, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Now, let me take this just a little bit deeper, Libra. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Libra, while it represents partnership, it also represents balanced cooperation, balanced harmony, compassion, diplomacy. I feel like this is an opportunity for Libra to be diplomatic with themselves as they see their life evolve, their own tastes morph and change. And then it really is that old Girl Scout song, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. Because some of the relationships, and if they're intuitive relationships, if they're love relationships, you may be intuitively led to doing more of your own thing on the internet or within social circles. And I'm not talking about swiping right or left. I'm not talking about filling out a profile. I'm talking about personal expression of self that may open you up to the world in a bigger way, which will then bring love from corners of the world you may not have otherwise considered. And I want to offer this too, because love is not just one-on-one. Sometimes love is the validation of who you are. And that sometimes comes from a group. So I think this is important for Libra. I think it's important to remember that Libra isn't just about compromise and relationships, but it's about harmony. And the harmony is always a win-win. So Libra wins as well as whoever they're in interaction with. Okay, let's go on to our Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Astro Ascension, that is a wonderful word, a genuine relationship, because it infers I see you, you see me, and we enjoy each other for all the interactions within. All right, Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. I bought Lucky a new blanket, and it's so soft and cozy, and he loves it. I'm going to show you guys real quick. Hold on. Look at him. He's so cute. Oh, that's the microphone in the way, by the way. Okay. Sorry. Just had to share my love. Okay. Virgo, our first angel is Merlina. The second is Maya. The third is Akasha. And the final is Athena. Merlina is being joined by the horse. Maya is being joined by the movement card. Akasha is being joined by the communications card. And Athena is being joined by the owl. So, okay. So the first thing I think when I look at this is, so Virgo, in the Kyle Gray deck, Angels and Ancestors, we have the White Witch, which represents the beginning of the female energy, the innocent, the naive, the maiden. And I bring her up because as I was bringing the cards or putting the spread out, I kept seeing her as representing Virgo, the virgin. But this is not about the virgin being pure as much as the virgin is starting a new journey. And it's a journey of discovery. It's a journey of exploration versus having to be right or having to be good at something, having to be correct at something, having to be perfect at something. We look at the house of the sixth house of Virgo. It represents I serve, my health, and in some ways my enslavement. It's ruled by Mercury. So Mercury rules thought. It rules my everyday activities. So I feel like this is an opportunity for Virgo, especially a Virgo stellium, to start to think about if I'm of service to myself, because your health is indicative of your thought process. And I say this because stress erodes our health. And if we're constantly working and feeling the slave to a schedule, slave to an agenda, slave to a mean boss, then that's going to slowly erode our health. Because I think it's time to go in a new direction. And I think that Virgo may be feeling a certain amount of obligation to experiences in their life. Sixth house matters, where you're of service to others, and that is starting to feel oppressive or starting to feel a lack of magic attached to it. Merlina in this deck represents confusion and indecision, and the horse is saying to go in a new direction. And it talks about accepting help and delegating authority. And that might be delegating to spirit so that you can move in a new direction of not feeling enslaved to the situation or not feeling obliged to the situation, because I think that you have something to learn about moving away from the situation. And when I say moving away, this feels more about moving away from it in my mercurial things, moving away from talking about it, moving away from reading about it, moving away from thinking about it, moving away from teaching about it, reading about it, all those mercurial things, because we have Akasha the teacher and the communications card here. And I feel like for my Virgos, all of this is going to come, whatever's going on right now, wherever is feeling like I feel enslaved to it. I feel a little bit, there you go. Astro Ascension kind of says it. She'll be leaving her jobs. I assume you're a she. I don't know why I do that. But leaving her job. And then I'm thinking, yeah, because she's been wanting to leave that job for a while. And now it's starting to become apparent that if I stay, I'm actually of a disservice versus being of service. Because sometimes I think it's hard for Virgo wanting to be of service, wanting to make everything dependable, practical, and reasonable. And so I get caught in between. If I'm not serving you, am I not serving? And I want to start to shift that to when I serve myself, I'm actually serving others. If we look at the axis of the Virgo Pisces axis, we go from I serve to I dream. And the dream, yes, it's, we can think of it as a bedtime dream like this, but it's a time of isolation when we're by ourselves, when we're in our bedroom with our hairbrush and we're singing and we actually sound amazing. And then we get brave enough to go out and put those dreams in the real world. So I want to offer this for my Virgos, especially if you have a stellium, and look at where that house is, because that house will represent potentially where you feel most obligated. If it's in the upper hemisphere, you may feel an obligation to how you're perceived in the public eye. If it's in the lower hemisphere, you may be perceived, or you may feel an obligation to what's perceived in your fourth house of family or your fifth house of children. So, or even your second house of history, to maintain a certain history with the family and not rock the boat. So give yourself permission to just for you emotionally and mentally, mercurially, to go in a new direction. Okay, let's go on to our Leos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh my God, William, you're making me so hungry. I really wish somebody could cook for me. I go into the market with all these ideas that I'm going to make this for myself, I'm going to make that for myself. And then I get home and I'm so lazy. That sounds very exciting. Aquarius Soul Astro Educator, Dora, offered to propose a new program at work, doing my own business. That's so exciting. And you know what? That could be where this Uranus-Saturn square, the third and final of the year, will actually might end up being a great thing for you. All right, here we go. Leo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Don't be afraid to hit the like button, anybody. I'm all good with that. I'm not teasing either. All right, here we go. All right, Leo, our first angel is Indriel. The second is Xana. The third is Omega. And the final is Teresa. So we don't, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I look at astrology, I get so focused on the conjunctions that I forget to look at the oppositions. So for Leo, we have Saturn. I don't know, where's Saturn? Like around 6-7 degrees or something of Leo. So those in opposition, Leos with that degree sun or any other personal planets, are going to feel that opposition, as well as Jupiter being in Aquarius as well. So I say that because I think it's going to come into play in some ways. Oops. All right. Indriel's being joined by the love card. We like that. Xana is being joined by the water fairy. Omega is being joined by the communications card. And Teresa's being joined by the swan. This last year, I've talked a lot about Leo and how the sun rules Leo and how the sun rules the whole zodiac. Every planet that comes in conjunction with the sun becomes combust. And I think about what is the fifth house rule. It rules entertainment, actors, hobbies. It rules a little bit of sports. We could say sports. We could throw that in there a little bit. We can throw children. We can throw all sorts of fun, romance. There's really not a lot of dark side, I guess, to the fifth house when we look at it. Although it does get a bad rap for being overly, well, you know what I'm doing, so forget it. But I want to offer this because I actually think we should pay more attention to those things. I think that somewhere there was a wisdom to the ancients who put the sun as the ruler of the fifth house and as the ruler of the zodiac, because the human experience is meant to be more enjoyable. And our version of fear has been muddied. Because fear is where achievement lies. Fear is where exhilaration and that tail wag. So I want to offer this because Leo, it is time to enjoy the things you love and to start to position yourself in such a way that you start to really shine your heavenly sunlight with your own inspirations and what you love, because your emotional body is urging you to take action. And I want to offer it this way because the action may, for some of you, be a natural physical action that has been inspired. But for some of you, it may still be part of that creative inspiration, because Xana is saying you're being protected from all types of harm. And now it's time to listen to your intuitive body, because as you listen to it, there's the communications card, and victory will come. There, we are headed. The United States is coming into its Pluto return. We are going to go through a period of time where Pluto is going to do what it does best. And we are lighthouses during this period of time. Often during times of historic disruption, there is also many people who ascend to greater heights. And part of it is because they must individualize from what the pack is doing. Because now is a time for Leo to allow for the transformation of who and what they are, and to be that, and to stop worrying about what the rest of the group thinks. Because you're a leader. Leaders can't stand in a line with a bunch of other people. They have to take the reins. So Leo's taking the reins by doing what you love, by putting some oomph and some opportunity and some thought and some I almost see myself polishing silver, or like a little magic lantern. Because as you take that energy of excitement of your own creation, when I was growing up, you had to be, there was very few opportunities to put yourself in the place of your dreams. We have YouTube, we have all these different platforms, TikTok and Instagram, and all these ways to reach an audience for our own self-expression. And right now, Leo, I really think it's time to do that. And if this Venus Neptune square sort of hits you in a way that illuminates the square between the Sun and Saturn at the end of the week, then it's asking you, where have you allowed your lack of self-confidence, or your being afraid of projecting yourself out into the world because you're afraid other people will judge you harshly? And this is where you must be brave, because as you are brave, you will find your tribe, and the people who resonate with you will find you, and the transformation can continue. Okay, I am on to my Cancers. Marvel Girl 100, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. So yes, Scorpio has been done, and we are starting Cancer now. And here we go. And I want to offer this too, because we have to think about these little bit of these oppositions. I don't have any planets in Cancer. It's a bare little planet. Little house. And yet, whoops, what am I doing? And yet there is an opposition to, I have 10th house Capricorn at 24 degrees. Pluto is now opposite 24 degrees Cancer. And I've had more nonsense going on in my home life in the last few years. Ooh, I'll tell you. So got to look at the ripple effect, look at the chart in a little bit of a bigger way. Look for the layers, everybody. Cancer moon. I think that's a lovely energy. All right. Here we go. Cancer, our first angel is Adriana. The second is Serena. The third is Akasha. And the final is Bethany. All right, here we go. Hey, Max's Meditation, good to see you. All right, Cancer, Adriana is being joined by the dog. Serena is being joined by the Grail Knight. Akasha is being joined by the Raven. And Bethany is being joined by the Restriction card. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to love for Cancer. And I say that because the dog represents intimate love, unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity. And we have Adriana leading you there. And also look at the children. Then we have the Grail Knight. And we have Serena in the opportunity or obstacle. And this is romance. We have Akasha, the teacher, in the Angel's Advice, and the Raven, which is about timing. But we know that the Raven always takes us down into the underworld to teach us something. And then we have the restriction card and Bethany. Now I'm going to say this for my Cancers. I absolutely believe this is about intimate relationships. If you're in one, fabulous. If you want one, fabulous. It's all kind of the same thing for me, because I feel as if sometimes Cancer is over accommodating. You're a nurturing sign, you nurture home and hearth, and sometimes that means you always eat a cold meal. And I feel like this is where the balance comes in, because if indeed, because I kind of went a couple ways here. If you're single and you are looking to find your person and looking for a relationship, now is a time to stop looking and understand that you're being led. And as you're being led, it's also about having a loyalty to yourself and your own appetites and your own tastes without thinking, because Cancer can do the crab crawl, it can sometimes be so nurturing that it will overlook things that are of super importance. Now we have on the 26th this week, a square between Venus and Neptune. And I feel like, well, this is, these are mutable signs. Okay. So there's a sense of cooperation, but where I'm going with this is I feel like these rose-colored glasses is a little bit where I have to understand that all the no's are not rejections. All the no's are not bad news. It's spirit lining things up for me. And my job is to trust it with joy. My job is to trust it with a little bit of, oh, thank you so much. I don't need to walk down a path with somebody who would be 50% right or 80% right, because this is a time for serenity and to bow down to a deeper truth of what you actually want. So for the longest time, humanity has created marriage as a contract for security and material abundance. It has not been until this last century that marriage has been transformed into something that we want to be based in love and partnership and walking through life differently. So when we look at the divorce rate of a 50% divorce rate, we really can't get sad about it because it's based on an old structure. Now we're going to rewrite the structure. So Cancer is learning a lot about timing, about the deeper truth of what you really, really want. And I want to offer this too, because there is a sense of tradition that some people enjoy. And because we're living in times that are evolving, it doesn't mean that there aren't other people that would enjoy tradition. I really feel like Cancer's biggest challenge is taking care of themselves. And if for some reason their relationship is not in alignment or they're not finding the relationship, it's because you have to take care of yourself in a little bit more of a Platonian way. The Raven is feeling Platonian by knowing what you don't want and being a little bit more like, thank you, so nice to meet you. We went on our first date. I want children. You don't want children. You're a nice guy. I'm a nice gal. Sayonara. See you later. It's not going to work. And it's not about villainizing anybody, but just digging down to a deeper truth and then surrendering to it in such a way that you almost welcome the no's so the yes can come quicker. Okay. On to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Hi, sweet lady. That's a nice name. I like that. All right, here we go. Gemini, then Taurus and Aries, and we will be done for the day. Whoops. Yep, Cece Pops, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Vicky. Welcome. I think you're a new name in the chat. Hi, Vera. Good to see you. Like that Vera sunshine. All right, here we go. Gemini. Our first angel is Oceana. The second is Patience. The third is Teresa. And the final is Desiree. Hi, Keegan. Good to see you. All right, here we go. Oceana is being joined by the Water Fairy. Patience is being joined by the Love card. Teresa is being joined by the Cat. And Desiree is being joined by the Novice. All right, welcome, Essa. Okay, Gemini, this is an interesting thing because it has this feeling of disruption a little bit attached to it. And I want to offer this because being so mercurial, and it's interesting to see how when one planet rules multiple signs, how the signs differ within that dynamic. And Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury moves very quickly. And then we have that twin dynamic. So I feel like the first go-to for Gemini is to try to think their way through something. And this is the opposite. Spirit is saying it's time to feel your way through it. And I want to offer it this way, because when I was younger and I didn't know I was intuitive, but bad things, when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, a lot of my friends were dying. A lot of them did dumb shit and they just, anyway. And I used to have to ask myself this question: is this a deeper truth for me? And I don't know why I was just naturally inclined to do that. Gemini, I think this is about asking deeper question. Is this scary stuff really happening to pull me under, or is it to rise me up? Is it to break away an old illusion, or is it just slow me down? So, because Mercury's and I need to slow down and maybe not just smell the roses, but allow myself to watch the roses and how those thorns, while they may appear unconsciously to hurt us, when we're conscious of them, we don't have to grab the thorn and we can enjoy the beauty of the rose. Because Gemini, I think that there's something disruptive happening that's actually bringing something better into your experience. And it may be how you show up during the process that actually brings the bounty or the benefit that you could not have seen otherwise. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is the Love card and the Patience card, which is about observation of someone's character, their integrity, how they show up, because it's telling you and giving you information, but it's also giving somebody else information about you. Because now in the angel's advice is the card of worry of other people. And then we have independence. So you may be worried because you're not with other people or you're not in their physical presence. But that independence from their physical presence is giving them an opportunity, and yourself an opportunity, to observe things from a different vibration. And that allows us a new beginning. Desiree says conditions aren't favorable right now, and there's the unstable new beginning. But this feels in direct relation to Gemini trying, and I say trying because I do believe you'll have to put some little effort in the beginning to say, what do I really feel about this? And what is my habit of thought about this? Again, I'm going to repeat myself. And for those of you that listen to the whole broadcast, I apologize for my repetitiveness, but I had a very sensitive relationship go in the wrong way, in the pooper, in the bad lane. And when it happened, I was the impetus for that. But at the same time, while it appears to have gone into the pooper, for me, it's actually much better, because I had a habit of feeling bad. I had a habit of feeling less than. I had a habit of feeling like I needed to create value. And now I realize that habit no longer serves me. And the only thing that was going to continue to happen was to go into the loop. And some people will never leave the loop. So you have to leave them in the loop if you want to be happy. That's where I'm going. All right. So overall, Gemini, Reach for your emotional body. Reach for your deeper emotional truth. And it may be that some things you're used to caring a lot about, you don't care about as much anymore. And it doesn't mean you don't care about it at all. It just doesn't have to be at that heightened sense of worry. That actually, you know what? Maybe I don't need to worry. Maybe things just conditions aren't favorable. Today is a bright, sunny day, and tomorrow there's 100% chance of rain. Tomorrow, conditions will not be favorable for me to walk to the market and get food. So I will have to find today and do it. Conditions aren't favorable, but you have an unstable new beginning. Practicing going back. How do I really feel about this? How do I really feel about this? All right, let's go into Taurus. Because I think that square between Venus and Neptune this week might illuminate that a little bit for Gemini. And look at where it's happening. Where's Sag and where is Pisces in your chart? Where is that square? Fourth house, 8th house, whatever it is, you know how to figure it out. Okay. Here we go. On to our beasts of burden, my moon. I'm so excited. I have the same degree moon as Kathy Hilton. I think she's so funny. She cracks me up. I mean, I don't know her personally, obviously, but what I've observed of her, she makes me laugh. Oh my goodness. Karen, your sun is a Gemini rising and a Cancer sun. Okay. Learn to trust his feelings over his head. All right, Taurus. Your Venus ruled planet. Okay. Crystalline. Oh my gosh, I would absolutely cry my eyeballs out if someone stole my dog. And that did happen to somebody, my groomer across the street, and they got their dog back. They went on Facebook and they put this whole, they notified everybody on social media and they ended up getting their dog back. So put it on social media, tell everybody they may see your dog. Okay. Taurus, rising moon, sun and stelliums. Here we go. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is the Patience card. The third is Sonia. And the final is Akasha. Joining Merlina is the Frog. Joining Patience is the Partnership card. Joining Sonia is the Love card. And joining Akasha is the Protection card. I have a 9-degree Taurus moon, and Uranus has been going back and forth over my moon forever. At least a year or so. I can't even remember. I hate this lighting. I need to really learn how to use the internet properly. Anyway, my point is this. I've been speaking about having a habit of feeling a certain way. And in the current chapters of my life, I don't know if I actually feel the way that my habitual emotional body has reacted to things. And so I'm rewriting this whole idea. And I'm doing it in a way that feels a little like epiphanies. I didn't plan this. That would be Uranus, these unexpected emotional epiphanies. And I want to offer Taurus this, because if you are a Taurus rising, moon, sun, or stelliums, you have an opportunity, even though you're a fixed sign, with Venus squaring Neptune this week and having this sort of be a weekly theme, you have an opportunity to really look and see where you may have been hoping other people would change so that you didn't have to. And maybe that's not so good for you anymore. Maybe it isn't really about change, but it's about standing in the present moment and assessing what is really important to you. Because Merlina is about confusion, and the frog is about the cleaning of the emotional body and the releasing of emotional baggage. I don't necessarily think of a release as a release, but more of an incorporation where I understand why that challenge brought me to a more empowered place, a place of more awareness of my own participation, because the patience card is about observation again. And then we have the partnership card. And I don't think this is outside of myself. I think this is inside of myself, where my fixed moon in Taurus is coming into partnership with the truth of what I really want to experience. And in doing so, I can be fixed and pliable and flexible at the same time. Because Sonia and our deceased loved ones, our team, our angels, are asking us to look at things from love. And I don't mean like loving people who treat us poorly, but almost looking at things in a way that allows us to see that when we look to another who is treating us poorly for love, we aren't looking for love at all. We're looking for something else, because we are being protected as we start to become the teachers through our experience that we have in some ways agreed to be. So let me offer it this way. Taurus naturally rules the second house. The second house rules history. In addition to many other things, it rules family history. So as a Taurus moon, I have an opportunity to rewrite my family history, how I emotionally process it, by allowing myself no longer to be confused because I'm letting other people's expectations get in the way, but rather I'm willing to jump off of this lily pad and onto a new lily pad and be in partnership with myself and my deeper truth. And the deeper truth is, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Because I can go into the situation and be right with those people all day long, but I'm never going to be happy. I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you, I think 5 out of 6 people in my family have a Taurus moon. A lot of fixed energy there. So now I feel a sense of protection, not because somebody's protecting me, but because I'm learning. I'm learning. And in learning, I'm being able to be a teacher through experience. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Your ruling planet is going into Scorpio. Ooh. Why does this light? I don't understand light. I don't understand. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. So Danny, both your parents have Taurus moons? That's funny. So my sister's children, both their parents have Taurus moons. And my brother-in-law is like 3 weeks, just a little over 3 weeks older than I am. And I have a Taurus moon and he has a Taurus moon. So funny. And I've noticed with other families, the same things kind of happen, because I think that's the whole, we incarnate with our families for our highest and greatest good. All right, here we go. Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Azure. The third is Archangel Raphael. And the final is Oceana. So I've told you guys, as an Aries rising, 26-degree Aries rising, I have Pluto squaring my rising and my sun. And, you know, that can be kind of scary health-wise. Talk about those pork chops later, William. But what I'm trying to say is that when I started to dig deeper into what does Pluto want from me? Why have I decided as a soul to have so much Pluto influence in my life path? And I think it's because I have asked to transform from some sort of illusion that my soul has experienced into a place of authenticity. So Fiona says to Aries, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And what is Aries? It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's a leader. There's the stag. And, I want to say this because I have very strong leadership qualities. I know that it's been experienced many times in my life, and it's also been a source of great loneliness for me. When I have a problem, I've had no one to talk to about it. And so for a long time, there was a sadness attached to it. But then I started to learn how to work with it. I started to learn how, because Aries, Azure says, now that your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. And there's the truth card. Aries is the truth seeker. That's the deepest form of Aries that nobody talks about. They talk about all the warrior stuff. They talk about all the anger and the frustration and the bluntness. But that's because Aries co-rules Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. So it knows how to dig deep, and it gets really annoyed with BS. When you feed an Aries BS, they literally barf it back in your face. And then we call Aries rude and blunt. So, because this is where I'm going. Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing, and there is Merlin, the angel of justice and balance and alchemy. And that's what Aries wants. And this truth is not a universal truth. It's an individual truth that everybody is allowed to have on their own. Everybody is allowed to have their truth because their truth comes from their emotional body. And here we see, Oceana, darn it, sorry, I dropped my crystal. Oceana says you're in touch with your truth, to honor it and to swim up through it. And there is where true transformation comes in, where Aries is transformed from the ugly duckling into the swan, and where our true leadership lies. So this is what I want to offer. So as an unconscious Aries, was I angry? Yes. Was I in people's faces? Yes. But the one thing I can say is I never was just angry for the sake of being angry. And that always sort of helped me to push back on those criticisms of hostility and of frustration, So I want to offer this because Aries, you cannot help but stand in leadership. You can stand in it in balance. You can stand in it in imbalance, but you're going to stand in it no matter what. So as you've asked God and the angels for help to feel part of a group, this is the other thing that's crazy about Aries. You stand for leadership, and yet you are part of an army, part of a Navy SEAL team, part of a sports team. There's this crazy team group dynamic also attached to Aries. Aries rules sports. Sports, golf isn't exactly the most aggressive sport, but if you think about it, football, basketball, all those things are a team sport. So, Aries, as you dig to the deeper truth, and the truth is learning when to put the gas on and when to put the gas off, when to light your torch and when to burn somebody's ass with your torch, then we're going to start to find a balance. And I believe you're going to start to find more alignment with those that can allow you the privilege of leadership and then non-leadership. And I say that in a way where if indeed you allow for this new energy to come in, there'll be other people who can lead while you rest. That's the way I'm putting it. Okay, so that's what I have to say for this week. I want to thank all of you so much for being here again. I'm kind of nervous about the year as we move forward because we're going to see a lot of unconscious disruption. But as we hold consciousness and seek wisdom through the unconsciousness, we hold torches of hope and inspiration. So sending love to each and every one of you. Next week will be Halloween here in the United States. So I'll see you on Halloween. Have a wonderful last week of October. And Be the change, guys. All right. Peace.